Hello everyone, welcome to Fullmoon Movies. Boogie Nights is one of those rare films that feel alive the moment it begins. Restless, confident, and fully aware of the world it's inviting you into. Watching it again in 4K only sharpens that feeling. Now, this isn't just a rise and fall story about the adult film industry of the late 1970s and early 80s. Instead, it's a deeply human film about belonging, illusion, ego, and the cost of mistaking attention for love. Paul Thomas Anderson opens the film with that now iconic long take, moving us through the nightclub and into the orbit of characters who will soon feel strangely familiar. It immediately establishes the film's rhythm, fluid, seductive, and slightly overwhelming. You are not eased into this world, you are swept into it. In 4K, the color pops with a warmth that mirrors the optimism of the era, while the textures of the film grain reminds you that this glamorous is fragile, built on surface sheen rather than substance. At the center is Dirk Diggler, played by Mark Wahlberg, introduced not just as a joke but as a boy desperate to be seen. Now, what makes Boogie Nights work is that Anderson never mocks Dirk's ambition. Dirk doesn't want fame to be abstract, he wants validation. He wants a family, even if that family is built on cameras, contracts, and performance. Wahlberg's performance is deceptively simple, but that simplicity is the point. Dirk's emotional vocabulary is limited, and his tragedy comes from not knowing how to grow beyond it. Jack Horner, played with remarkable restraint by Burt Reynolds, functions as both mentor and father figure. Jack believes in craftsmanship, in a kind of professional pride that feels almost quaint now. He wants to make movies, not just content, and his affection for Dirk is sincere, if flawed. Now, their relationship gives the film its emotional backbone. It's not about exploitation alone, it's about misplaced trust. Jack doesn't fully understand the damage his world inflicts, and Dirk doesn't understand the limits of Jack's protection. Julianne Moore's Amber Waves may be the film's emotional anchor. Her storyline, particularly her fight to regain custody of her child, is one of the most devastating elements of the film. Now, in 4K, the close ups linger longer and you feel every tremor in her performance. Amber isn't just a tragic figure, she's a woman who has mistaken performance for identity. The courtroom scene remains one of the most painful in Anderson's career, not because it's loud, but because it's humiliating in a quiet procedural way. The supporting cast gives the film its layers texture. Don Cheadle's Buck dreams of legitimacy, wanting to open a stereo store and escape the margins of the industry. John C. Reilly's Reed Rothschild lives in a perpetual state of arrested adolescence, clinging to friendship as if it can shield him from irrelevance. Heather Graham's Roller Girl embodies the confusion between youth, sexuality, and self-worth, never fully understanding the dangers she stepped into. These characters don't just orbit Dirk, they mirror different versions of what his future could look like. As the film shifts into the 1980s, its tone changes dramatically. The warmth fades, the camera becomes less fluid, the music becomes more abrasive, cocaine replaces camaraderie. This structural shift is one of Anderson's greatest achievements. The film doesn't announce its descent, it feels it. In 4K, the harsher lighting and colder color palette makes the emotional chill unmistakable. What once felt like a community now feels like a collection of isolated performances. The infamous drug deal sequence, scored to Jesse Girl, remains a masterclass in tension. It's chaotic, absurd, and terrifying all at once. Firecrackers explode, nerves fray, and illusion of control collapses. Now, this scene isn't just about danger, it's about exposure. These characters, stripped of their fantasy environment, are suddenly powerless. No lighting setup or persona can protect them here. What separates Boogie Nights from the many rise and fall narratives is its refusal to fully condemn or glorify its characters. Anderson doesn't judge them, he just observes them. The adult film industry is not portrayed as an inherently evil, nor as liberating. It's simply a system, one that rewards surface appeal and punishes vulnerability. The tragedy comes from how easily people confuse temporary attention with permanent worth. The ending of the film is surprisingly gentle. It doesn't punish everyone equally, nor does it offer neat redemption. Dirk returns older and bruised to a version of the family he once abandoned. The final moments suggest acceptance rather than triumph. Life goes on, smaller and less glamorous, but perhaps more honest. The famous closing shot isn't about bravado, it's about self-mythology. Dirk still clings to his identity because without it, he doesn't know who he is. From a technical standpoint, the 4K presentation elevates the film without betraying its original aesthetic. Film grains is intact, colors are richer without being artificial, and details in costume sets and facial expressions adds emotional clarity rather than distraction. The soundtrack, already legendary, benefits from the improved clarity, allowing the music to function not just as a nostalgia but an emotional punctuation. Now, looking back, Boogie Nights feels less like a period piece and more like a universal story about industries that promise belonging in exchange for self-commodification. Now, whether it's pornography, social media, or celebrity culture, the mechanics remains the same. People want to be seen. Systems are happy to profit from that desire. That's why Boogie Nights endures. Beneath the bravado, excess, and energy is a deeply sad, deeply compassionate film about people chasing love in places that can only offer applause. Watching it today, especially in 4K, you don't just see the past more clearly, but you see how little things have changed. Now, this movie is a must watch.